Oh man, we live, baby. We live. We lit, baby. We lit. What's really good, family tree? Let me know if you're up in the building with me by simply hitting the like button. Am I in focus? Am I not in focus? I don't already know. What's good? I'm just waiting to see if we can get some comments flowing from here. Let's try to bring this up. Testing all the systems, gonna make things interesting. Bangers and mash and tell me you're not trash. I'm just here to chase that cash. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Oh man. Alright, this is banging. Okay, cool. Cool. I can actually do some good shows like this then. So, anyways, yeah. Yo, family, quick ones though. I'm just doing a little quick something before I head out. Dust your shoulders off and dap. So yeah, what am I doing a quick one on? I am doing a quick one. Let me just bring this a bit closer to me. I'm doing a quick one on this, I've realized, in the numerous years doing shows and stuff, right? I've realized that people get triggered. People actually get triggered quite easily. And it says a lot about a lot of people in terms of their triggeringness. Because every single time I put up imagery of black people or people of brown skin complexion or black skin complexion, there is always an issue on that for some strange reason. If you put up a European white imagery or anything along them lines, Aryan image, nobody has a problem. But the moment you put up like black imagery, like people like just come out and they're just completely triggered. And I'm like, wow, like that is a serious mental health problem that's going on with inside of, I don't even want to say the community. I want to say more like just inside of the ethers of the peoples. Okay. So I think I did a show recently and I did a show. Okay. And I put up an imagery. I'm dealing with, the whole Abyssinian Muhammad and Abyssinian Islam and things of that nature, right? So I'm doing that, okay? And then I have not put up any imagery. I'm not even talking about really and truly the Muhammad of Islam. So, let's separate Muhammad of history, i.e. Abyssinian Muhammad, but there's that Muhammad, okay? And then there is the Islamic Muhammad. And then everybody was just talking about the Islamic Muhammad. I'm like, this presentation has nothing to do with Islamic Muhammad like that. There's no imagery of that up, nothing like that. But it was attacking and saying like, Muhammad was white, Muhammad was white, Muhammad was white. And I was like, wow, it's crazy because I see on other channels, they'll put up pictures of Ali and Hassan, Hussein and Muhammad. And it's generally that Aryan stock, pale Arab imagery that you get to see. Nobody batters an eyelid at that. Everybody's happy with that. And I'm like, cool. I can understand, you want to argue because the hadith say Muhammad was maybe white, maybe in your hadiths, right? Let's just say it says that. So I can understand that. You want to argue that point. But then when we look at like people like Ali is not described nowhere, to my knowledge anyway, as being white. He's, if you go to Tabari right now, he'll tell you that he was a black man, with a pot belly and bald head or something along those lines. I can't remember the actual description, but it's a very dark imagery. It's like dark-skinned imagery. But nobody would say to the Shias or to anybody who's, painting imagery of Ali with inside of Islamic history, like, no, that's wrong. Like, you can't paint him white. He was black. It says it in our hadith he was black. But you lot have so much vim to say Muhammad was white. And I'm like, wow. Each to their own, innit? Like, to me, quick ones. Let me just do a quick disclaimer, okay? I'm not Arab, so I don't give a toss, yeah? I am not Habashi, so I don't care. It's like I'm not claiming these people as me, I am not Muslim, so to me it doesn't really has no effect on me, And one can say yes, but you're African, and I'm like cool, but I'm not East African. I'm like way over like West Africa, West Indies. I'm like the other side of the map. Like there is nothing unless I do my DNA test, yeah, there's nothing genealogically like tying me to any of these people that I'm talking about. It's just a point in history that I'm fascinated about, and I'm talking about it. I don't have any, connection. I'm not trying to claim connection to be like, yes, I'm Muslim, so it belongs to me, or yes, I'm Christian, so now Muhammad belongs to me, or anything like that. I don't personally, I don't even care like that. So it's always strange, but then, oh yeah, but you're claiming, the Africans. And I'm like, well, technically speaking, I'm not even doing that. Like, I'm even saying I went into it thinking that these people could possibly be Africans. And I said, no, these people are not, technically they could be phenotypically African. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about in terms of their geography, they're on the South Arabian, South Arabia. So that's them. That's even separate from mainland Africa. So it's like, there's no connection for me personally. Yeah. The same way, when, the FBA type guys were coming on, I can't remember his name now, but he was claiming that King James was black. And I was like, listen, like, no, King James was not black. He was a white man. I'm in Britain. I know, British history and so forth. You want to convince me based upon like some stupid artwork that, King James was black. And I'm like, bro, like, again, it's got nothing to do with me, because there's nothing I don't claim that they're all black. I'm not, I'm British, but I'm not, ethnically English or anything like that. So it doesn't have no problem with me. So, but I will speak on what is true. Like, these people, King James was a white man. Okay, let's just keep it there. Yeah. The Abyssinian Muhammad, based upon whatever the case is, was definitely somebody who is phenotypically dark skinned, black, whatever the case is, right? Even within inside of the Islamic records. Let's just even go there. Within inside of Islamic records. Let's not even talk about my Muhammad, right? Because everybody's, let's just not even talk about my Muhammad for a hot second. I had to pull up the fact that you do realize within inside of Islamic literature, right, that Muhammad is also described, I would never say as a black man, but he's been described as a brown-skinned man. Asmar, brown. You do realize that, right? And most of you will not realize that. Of course you won't, because you're fed the dominant standard Islamic narrative. And me personally, I'm always like, let me show you the peripheral Islamic narrative. Let me show you the narrative that's been marginalized and nobody really gets to talk to you about. Just like Shia Islam. Nobody, unless you got Shia friends, nobody's talking about that. Or Ibadi friends. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about, the Quranists or the Mutazilites or anything like that. Nobody's talking about these things. I just got an interest in history, and I can, read history and I can see, oh yeah, there is differences. There is different trends and themes going on within inside of the literature based upon politics. I understand it, and I bring this out, but people just, I don't know. I really don't know. And then I do understand, and I think I'm guilty of it as well. I'm guilty of staying silent whilst misinformation is being released. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Okay, let me tell you what I mean by that. So I remember I used to have Sarah on here, right? And, he would always talk about, Muhammad was a white man who sold black slaves. And I'm like, cool, like, you're going against the Muslimics. Like, boy, there's no love lost there for me in it, because he's going against a specific type of Muslims, right? And those were the slave-minded Muslims. And I think, I'm hoping that his objective was to kind of get black Muslims out of that damaging ideology. Okay, and realize that you're being used and manipulated by an other group. So I don't have no problem with it. Do your thing, bro. And then again, you see people like David Wood, and he does videos on it. And, Muhammad was a white man, which is white with cool whip and weight. And I'm like, yeah, do your thing, bro, because you're Christian, you're attacking, the Muslim. This is the standard Islamic narrative. Like, for me personally, I don't have no love. I'm not Muslim, so I don't care. So like, if you're attacking it, attack it, bro. Do your thing, right? And I'm not going to be an apologetic for Muslims. It's like, is it really my place to defend the truth or the historicity of something if I don't belong to that tradition? It's like, why am I even getting myself involved with something like that? It's like, that's none of my business. Yeah, I know better, but that's just me. I know better. So that's just me. I'm safe, so I know better. I'm rotten, you know. But it's like you allow misinformation to just go out so much that when you do actually speak your mind on a topic, it's like the whole world has been misinformed and poisoned. So it's like it's a battle. It's an uphill battle, right? To actually just talk history and facts and evidence and academic stuff and what can be proven. It's like this is why I'm like I don't apologetics and polemics. It's like I don't really like. It's not my thing. You know, it's really not my thing. And I always say like we've got two different foundations. Everybody else is dealing with beliefs. I'm dealing with knowledge. What do I know? What can I prove? Right? And everybody else is like, I have got a belief system that I want to convert other people away from their belief system and buy into my belief system. Like that's what, you know, apologetics and polemics is all about. It's all about persuasion into somebody else's belief system. And me, I'm like, I don't care about, I'm not here to convert. If you come to my channel thinking that I'm going to shove Christianity down your throat, you've come to the wrong channel, right? If you think I'm going to shove Islam or chematology or, you know, ecosystem or whatever it is, I'm not here to do none of that. Yeah, go to another channel if you want religion. I'm not here to religiousize you guys. I'm here to just inform you guys, educate you guys, provoke you guys to think. And my whole purpose for doing this channel, full stop, is for you to think and think critically. Like that's it. That's the only thing I'm here for, is to provoke thought. If you want to be religiousized, go to another channel and be religiousized. I'm not here for that personally. And I do think that religion is helpful for people who have religion, right? Some people, I'm like, listen, there's things that I do know and I don't want to say it to you because you're in a fragile place, right? So let me not talk to you about Islam because I don't want to pull you away from that and then you become unhinged and you don't have a place in society. At least with your religion, Islam, and you're Muslim, you're going to the masjids, you know, you've got community members, you can do Eid, you can do your prayers, you know, you've got something that's keeping you stable as somebody within inside of the community. To take that away from you, I'm scared. Okay. So I will never try to do that. I will never, ever, ever, ever. Because I personally, I don't have anything to give to you like that. Okay, I don't have anything to give to you. Don't come to me for no religious help and advice and all these. I'm not here for that, mate. But I will definitely point you in a good direction for people who you need. Let's see. Let me quickly read some of these questions before I continue. I couldn't agree with you more, brother. It angers people to see black images. You're right. It's truly a mental health issue. It stems from jealousy. Yeah. See, I don't want to do a broad stroke and say it's jealousy because I think there are so many different things at play when it comes to that. And jealousy definitely is one of those things. But there's so much more at play with this. I'm so shocked that anytime there is like a black imagery that's put up, somebody has to say something about it. Like, whatever I'm talking about is not even about the imagery. It's about the topic. Let's discuss the topic. No, let's go to the blackness of the pictures. Why did you do that? Why did you have to do that? I'm like, oh God. So you're happy with seeing Eurocentric imagery or Aryan style imagery or Asiatic style imagery, but the moment you see black imagery, something is wrong. I don't know why. As I said, I don't personally care. Yeah, because I'm not in any of these religions, so it doesn't mean anything to me personally. But yeah, let's see. Sam Kwan says, oh man, Solomonic, man, I jumped onto your thing and then lo and behold, as soon as I jumped on, you come off the live, man. Come on, what's going on? 6 locks. Jeez. Hey, Sam Kwan, you know. Man, like Cosmic is up in the building, was good. Muhammad never existed. Nah, you figure out that Muhammad did exist. Jesus did exist. Moses and Abraham. Okay, cool. I'll give it to you on those ones. I'll give it to you on those ones. There's no proof for their existence. But in terms of Muhammad and Jesus, I would say there is historic evidence to say that they did exist, not the ones that we see. So we will have to, when it comes to this, you're going to have to separate these religious figures from the historical data that we do have about them, which is very small compared to the mythic versions that we do find within inside of literature or scriptures, so to speak, right? So there is a big difference between, the Jesus that walked on earth versus the Jesus that walked on water, right? There's a difference between a Muhammad that rode a camel across the desert sands versus a Muhammad that rode a beast, a borak, across the heavens, right? There is a big difference between those two. Cool. Just like, in my presentation, I talk about there is a big difference between, Santa Claus is Santa Claus is a legendary figure, but he was birthed out of a historical figure. He was birthed out of a 4th century Christian bishop from the Byzantine Empire, Anatolia, to be specific. Okay, that is a real historical figure. Santa Claus, right, on the other hand, is a legendary figure. Yeah, that rides across the, with Blitzen and Donner and Rudolph and all those ones there, right? Right, that is a legendary figure, right? But Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, right? He comes from the historical figure. The historical figure throughout the eons, throughout the millennia, morphed into what we know as Santa Claus today, and that there is a mythical person. Same as you have with other religious figures, right? You have that, as I said, with Jesus. You have that with Muhammad. They were once historical figures, right? But traditions develop and then they become legendary. And it's us as historians, our job to find the historic figure rather than think that the traditional figure was the historical person. Cool. Let's quickly go through. Muhammad had the gunplay lock. Yeah. Hey, see, I can't even do it. I can't share my screen. I would love to share my screen so I can show you these ones, Hey, Kalam, can you comment on the greatest verse of the Quran, Ayatul Kursi, the verse of the seat or throne? I think it's about Jesus and the church. It's preceded by verses about Jesus' superiority. Do you know what? I would love to. Unfortunately, this show isn't for that. And usually with this, I'll have to do like a proper deep dive into it. And, as you said quite clearly, like just really grab the context of Ayatul Kursi and see what other, first of all, we can do it this way, right? We can see what do the Mufassirun are commentary writers from the Islamic period. What do they have to say? So from a diachronical perspective, like just really go through what do they have to say about it. Then let's go into, what do modern day scholars have to say about this particular verse or chapter, whatever the case is. And then, of course, I just go in from a much more deeper perspective. Let's actually go and translate it myself. Let's go and read it myself without the baggage from the traditions, without the baggage from the scholars. Let's just read it with inside of its original, the close to the original language as possible. So my particular strategy or methodology is literally just going through it. Any words that doesn't, blend with the Arabic, so to speak, or doesn't make sense, I ask myself, does it make more sense in another language, for example? Does it make more sense in Gaiz? Does it make more sense in Greek? Does it make more sense in Sabaic? Does it make more sense in Syriac? Because all of these languages were around during that time period, and all of those languages are actually found within inside of the Quran, and most words that's unexplainable are actually coming from another language. And that's why, sometimes certain verses of the Quran is just like, what? You read it and you think to yourself, what? When Muslims come to me and tell me like, oh, yes, it's the most, I'm like, right, have you read this? And it's because like when people don't read literature and they just read one book, they just think it's so amazing. I'm like, raw, really? Did you even see that this, the argument didn't follow suit? Or how can I put it? Not the argument, the context or the flow of the chapter didn't even follow. Like, do you not see that? For me, I look at the text, I'm like, oh, sugar, there's a redaction that's taking place here. Somebody's actually edited the Quran, right? Because the Quran is supposed to flow. And what I mean by that, sometimes you have something called rhyming ends, basically, or like you can see the meter structure of it. And you're like, hold on, the meter structure is off here. And then you got a random word placed here, or there is a random line that's added to it. You're like, okay, cool. But anyways, this is something, and let me not even go into that, because that's what we call source criticism or textual criticism, and you can kind of see where people actually add things to the Quran or take things away from the Quran. But that's a story for another day. Let me not even go there, because this is how you get your head chopped off for actually speaking academic information to the world. All right, Ayatul Kursi. Definitely have a look at that next time. Oh man, Medu Seneb up in the building. What's good, God? Yes, looking forward to that deep dive into Ayatul Kursi. The verses begin with the Arabic word Haya al-Qayyum. Haya al-Qayyum. Let's see, what does that mean again? The life, the existence, or something like that, which actually means the life and the resurrection. Ooh, yeah, Qayyum, standing. Ooh, Qayyum. Ooh. Ooh, Matthew Casico. Cascio. Sorry. Hey, I like that. I like that. Set I'm Hotep Ma'acheru up in the building. What's good? Archers, arrows. Anyway, let me stop. So anyways, how does black prove me wrong? Yeah, let me think. What was I going with that? So I dropped this to say that mainly about the imagery. Do I need to prove that Muhammad was black? Personally, no, because as I said before, I don't really care. But I do think that it is. I wish, because of course, I realize that non-black people won't be speaking on this topic. What do I mean by that? The narrative of Muhammad actually being white or red, it serves the purpose for the other community. So anybody who is that skin complexion, what would be thought of as that skin complexion, I don't know, who are Muslims, like, why would they even care to, like, they'd be like, yeah, that suits me just well. Like, that just suits me just well if you think that. And that's why when you put up black imagery, it's like, nope, that's going against, what suits me well. So that's where we have a conflict, I guess. And I guess I'm going to get into trouble here. Most black Muslims here are actually slaves to the pale Arabs anyway. And what I mean by that is not literal slavery. Well, one could argue that. But it just in terms of intellectual slavery, they rely on them a lot. And that's the problem. They're not free to think. So therefore, they won't be the ones, generally speaking, to object to that imagery of Muhammad, full stop, because they're part of that. And obviously it's going to go against the Ummah, and it's going to cause fitna to be talking about these things. But it's okay for it's okay that the white imageries or the Asiatic or the Aryan imageries is put forward, but it's fitna if you go against that narrative. It's mad. And this is why it's like, I don't care, because I don't care to save you. Don't save you. Don't save them. They don't want to be saved. Don't save them. Keep them in slavery. Don't save them. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, we don't save them because they're there. So it's always shocking to me, like, the conscious black Muslims and the conscious black Arab Muslims as well. Like, why don't you talk about this more openly? Where's your platforms discussing these things? I always wonder, where is that? Because I know they do exist, because I speak to my Sudanese brothers and Moroccan brothers and dark-skinned Arab brothers, and I know they know this stuff as well. But it's like, it's really taboo though. Anyways, So in terms of Muhammad being white or Muhammad being black, as I said to you before, there is literally, and this is the Islamic Muhammad. I'm not talking about Abyssinian Muhammad now, yeah? Islamic Muhammad. Like, if you, unfortunately, most of us are not trained in reading the Arabic language. And sometimes we can read the Arabic language, but we understand modern Arabic, right? Versus classical Arabic. And the depth and meaning of certain words within inside of a classic Arabic context. Like, you really need to understand the culture. This is why I always say, like, literally go into the lexicons and study the lexicons, because the lexicons, really good ones, would actually give you, the cultural concepts behind certain words. Because it's not just, we might see a word as black today and we think, oh yeah, black means black. It's like, no, B, like they're calling, for example, they may call somebody green. So they're describing someone who is very, very dark skinned as green. And it's like, yeah, they're not saying that they're literally the color of green. They're talking about, it's long to go into, but if you don't understand the culture, it's like you get lost. Because I've seen it. And I remember I used to watch like David Wood, have this discussion or like do videos. And I'm like, yeah, like I always thought that, but again, it's when I learned the difference between those who are sincere in terms of search for knowledge and truth. Those people will go towards more academic stuff. People who just care about their emotions and their feelings and their religion would gravitate to polemics and apologetics, right? Because it's like, I listened to David Wood and I'm like, how do you get that so wrong? Like, don't you see that doesn't make any sense? The white of his armpit, the white of his arm, the white of this. Like, that means that you haven't actually studied what does white mean within inside of an Arabic context, right? What does white mean? Because I think I brought this up in one of my shows before, right? Because I could say, I can find, I can easily bring up a hadith to you and say, look, it is reported in such and such and such and such that about the blackness of Muhammad's foot. Therefore, Muhammad is black. And I would never do that because I know the stupidness of it. Like, if I was trying to deceive somebody, I would say, yeah, look, the hadith says Muhammad's had a black foot. But then I can show you another place where it says Muhammad has a white shin. So what do you mean? Does he have, is he now a zebra? Does he have a black foot and a white foot? Like, what does it mean? It's like, no, let's understand the language. Let's understand what does it mean when they describe something as white? And what does it mean when they describe something as black? It's not as we, 21st century ideas of colors and blacks and whites. Like, what does it mean inside of that culture, right? And it can mean several things. For example, let me show you the whiteness of my arm and the blackness of my arm. This bit here would be, in the Arabic language, would be considered to be the whiteness of my arm. That bit, the back side of this, my forearm here, would be considered to be the blackness of my arm. Somebody reading the hadith, right, would now see, the whiteness of Kalam's arm. But those of you who know me, like, I'm a brown-skinned person, right? So what does it mean? What do you mean? No, I know Kalam. He's not white. He's black or brown or however you want to describe me, right? So you have to understand the language, right? Because obviously the whiteness is to do with the underside, literally means the underside. The blackness means to be do with like there which has hair, that which is cultivated, that which is exposed to the sun, etc. That is the context of it, right? There's that context. When you describe somebody as being white, it's not simply being the color white. That's not even the word that they use for somebody who is European looking. It's not even the term Abyad, full stop, or white, full stop. Like, when they say somebody is white, they're talking about, that person is a holy person, a virtuous person. Like, that's what the color context can mean. It's like, if you don't know it, if you don't understand the culture, like, you see these terms, you be baffled for days. Baffled for days. But anyways, like for me, I don't even care to even teach this, to be honest with you. It should be like some of these black Muslims should be teaching you this stuff. Because it's like when I see it, it's like, do I talk about this stuff to like correct the misinformation? It's like, no. Why? Why should I be correcting the misinformation? It doesn't make no sense for me to correct the misinformation. You know, bad enough, you know, I've got a big beard. Now everybody gonna be like, yeah, I told you, Kalam's a crypto, what's it called? A cryptic Muslim, fam. I told you, fam, he's a cryptic Muslim. It's like, oh God. No, so it's like, I don't even want to, but it's like, how much stupidness do I need to listen to? And, you know, just allow to continue. It's like, God damn, man. God damn. Because if I show you hadiths now, I can show you hadiths, right? Let me do an example. I can't show it to you on your screen right now, but I can just read out a hadith to you, right? Okay, this is found. If you actually went on to sunnah.com, right? And you went on to Jamia Tamidi, right? And the hadith number is 1754. Go to hadith 1754, yeah, Jamia Tamidi, okay? Jamia Tamidi. You can go onto like sunnah.com, just go onto Jamia Tamidi 1 and then 1754. Just, you know, Google that real quickly. And it's narrated by Anas. The messenger of Allah was of average height, neither tall nor very short. He had a good build and he was brown in complexion. He was brown in complexion. Cool. So now, what does that mean? Was he brown? No, I don't even know was he brown or not, right? So you've heard all the hadiths maybe describing him as white. What do you do now? What do you do? Do you say he was white and he was brown? Or do you reject that he was brown and say he was white? Or do you reject that he was white and say he was brown? Like, where does your bias lie? Where does your bias lie? Some of us who are more academically minded will be like, okay, let's go and research the classifications of colors. What does colors mean? What does colors mean when applied to human beings? And what does it mean when it's applied to human beings in certain contexts? Then you come up to the answer, oh, that's what it means. But some of us are just emotional. Nope. I don't care what you say. I don't care if I read it in the hadith. I read it all my life that he was white, so therefore he was white. I reject the hadith. That's a Sahih hadith that said he was brown in complexion. Then the pro-blacks of you might say, nope, I reject that he was described as white. He was brown in complexion according to this hadith and other hadiths. Again, like, depending on your bias, innit? Me personally, I don't care because I'm not a Muslim. And I don't care if Muhammad was black or white. So I will do the research and I will present it to you and I'll make you understand the difference of the different narrations and why it's said like this in certain places and why it's described like that in certain places. And how did Arabs describe themselves? Did they consider themselves to be white or did they consider themselves to be black? I could give you the whole breakdown of that because I don't care because I don't have any, what's it called? I don't have any fight in the game. I don't care. I'm not a Muslim. I'm none of those things. So I don't care. I can just tell you what it is. I'm not a Christian trying to convert you, so I can just tell you what it is. That's the beauty of just being academically minded. Like, you don't have to, you can acknowledge your own biases, of course, but then you could just be like bias free because it doesn't make no difference to you. Okay, let me just quickly read some of these comments because I need to start get going. Oh, sugar. Man like Ezra up in the building, you know. Bro. Hey, salute to you, my guy. He's whiter than Nigel Farage, bro. Definitely. As I said to you, you can find Hadith saying calling him white, bro. So why not? You know, as I said, it's down to now those people who are actually interested. Because, you know, my brother Ezra might be coming from a Hebrew Israelite or Christian perspective, right? So he wants to go against the Muslims and say, yeah, he was white, family was white. Jeez, man, like Annabelle up in the building. Oh, man. Reason Media up in the building, man, like I can. Jeez, yeah, my brother Ezra. Thoughts on Abdul Malik ibn Marwan being historical Muhammad and Ibn Wasiyah, Wasiyah, or was she being Jibril? This is the theory of Dr. Ali. Okay, Ali Muhammad. No, I think Ali Muhammad is wrong on that. 100%. You know, he's 100% wrong on that, because why do I say he's 100% wrong on that? It depends on what you're trying to claim. Okay, let me just say, what are you trying to claim in terms of like he was Muhammad, the historical Muhammad? What do you mean by that? Because obviously he wasn't the historical Muhammad, and how do we know he wasn't the historical Muhammad? We know he wasn't the historical Muhammad because we have reports of a Muhammad prior to the rulership and the time of Abdul Malik, right? So we know that he definitely wasn't. Well, let's just say he could have been a Muhammad, but he couldn't be the original Muhammad because there was already reports of Muhammad existing before the time of Abdul Malik, right? If you want to claim that he was Muhammad in the sense of, I don't know. You know, one could claim, oh yes, because he was the one who commissioned the Quran's, gathering and spreading throughout the domains. So therefore he was a Muhammad in that sense. But that doesn't make no sense, right? You're just saying that he was the leader who propagated the religion of Islam, kind of like a Paul, right? So you have, Christianity. Jesus is the main figure, but Paul is really the one that really started Christianity to like put the show on the road. But he wasn't the founder of Christianity, obviously. He was just the one who put the show on the road. Same thing as Abdul Malik. He was the caliph or the governor or the ruler, whatever you want to call him, that actually really elevated things and put it on the road in terms of, doing up building works and popularizing the stories of Muhammad, etc. Like he was the one that did a good fair bit of the job. But unfortunately, we know via the Zubairids that there was a narrative about Muhammad prior to that. Okay, there's two Muhammads from my understanding. I think the Sunnis made a new Muhammad after he died. I would say, yeah, there were several, in terms of, there were several Muhammads. So I would say like this, there were, if you go into Ibn Sa'ad's Tabakat, written within the 9th century, you have it mentioning that there were 5 Muhammads before the time of the Muhammad of Islam. Okay, 2 of them are mentioned. Okay, 2 of them are they're all mentioned. All 5 are given names, right? But 2 of them are mentioned with a further biography, right? They're both, the 2 that were mentioned were both Christians, yeah, and they were both bishops. Imagine that, right? So you have Christian Muhammads existing before the time of the Prophet Muhammad of Islam. There was already stories about these Muhammads going on already that were political rulers as well. I think both of them were some form of political rulers or had some form of administration roles. Definitely the other one, the one from Tamim, had some type of administration roles with the markets and stuff and other stuff as well, as a judge, etc. So yeah, there were other Muhammads in Arabia as well, but nobody talks about these things. I don't know why though. Okay, cool. Let's quickly go through some more. The problem is just you are using confirmation bias and you don't have the guts to faith hadith science. Hadith science? I don't know. Me? Are you talking about me? Me personally? You those of you guys who know me on this channel, you know, the moment I learn something, I go in. Hadith science, I don't know how good I am or how proficient I am now, but geez, come on. Y'all can't tell me that I don't know hadith science, ilmul rajal and that. And can't tell me that I know hadith science. No hadith science. I choose to forget this stuff though, because it's just unimportant information to me. But y'all know. Y'all know who, I mean, if you lot know about me going through the hadiths of Aisha. Was Aisha, Aisha 9 years old, married to the Prophet Muhammad, etc., etc., etc. That was what, 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago, I was able to go through that. Right? I think, who was it? I think it was I think it was Anwar and Shamsi. Shamsi, yeah. Anwar and Shamsi and the other brother Adam. They put me on hadith science, right? Because they were just, wiggling around. And I'm like, cool, all right, let me learn your science. Okay, you have to learn, the science of hadith. You have to learn fiqh. You have to learn all these things. I'm like, cool. Say less. Yeah, because what you lot don't know about me, I back then, I had more time than all of you lot because I had more money. And then, coupled with my ability to speed read and coupled with my ability to have some form of photographic memory, jeez Louise, I read all of those hadith, science of hadith books, all of their textbooks, gone through. Okay, cool. I've learned this. Okay, let me learn that fiqh stuff as well. Let me just understand the different schools of thoughts, right? And how you do qiyas and all the rest of it, right? Let me learn all of that stuff so my mind is in tune so I can actually have a much more fruitful dialogue and debate with you. So I had to learn all of that stuff, like useless information, right? Absolutely useless information, but at the time it was good. Anyways, and I said, all right, cool. Let me try my hand at looking at this hadith, right, that everybody's talking about. Because before I put out the big PDF, right, before I call somebody a PDF, right, I need to be saying it with chest. Yeah, with chest. I can't say it and then look like a fool and say, I apologize for saying PDF. So I'm like, cool, let me go and read this objectively, utilizing your own science of hadith. And then I went through that. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I always think to myself, it's crazy how I'm smarter than all of these Muslims. All of these Muslim scholars, all of these Muslim laymen, yeah. How am I? Yeah. Them times I'm a young, like 20-something-year-old, young black boy from the blocks, rude boy, yeah. Maybe I've got a little education and that, yeah, but I'm from the hood. Yeah. But I'm able to pick up your books and realize that your stuff, you're just talking a whole heap of crap and you can't even defend your prophet. Because you lot have been, what's the word? Yeah, you lot have just been brainwashed. It's like, hold on, but these hadiths are mursal. I know it's mursal. Using the science of hadith, it's mursal. I show you it's mursal. No. Shut up, Kalam. What other scholar says that what you say? Okay, let me go through. Okay, Ibn Kathir. Oh, this person over here. Oh, this person over here say exactly what I'm saying. That but they accept it. Like all of them, they accept it, but they tell you that it's merciful as well. And I bring that to you. But yet you lot are not. Anyways, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and then you lot bring me onto like Christian channels, like, what's it called? I can't remember the names now. To argue with me. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then guess what? Man, like Little and them man there write books on this whole subject. And literally, what I understood based upon the idea of hadith science, right? Based on that, they did a whole 600-page odd book, yeah, PhD level work, yeah, to say exactly what I was saying. I did like 3 hours and a couple 3-hour videos to break it down. And they came to my conclusion. I think I've even got more information on top of their conclusion to show you even where the whole 9 years old stuff comes from, because the real breakdown to that, right? The whole breakdown of why it's 9 years old, the whole breakdown to that is simply to do with the term Abu Bakr, because Abu Bakr wasn't a father of any person called Bakr, nor was he a chief of the Bakr tribe. And then once you understand what the term Bikr means, it means virgin. Then once you understand where that terminology comes from, you understand the terminology Bikr actually comes from a young camel, who is ready to actually have sexual engagement. They're mature. They actually reach full maturity, and they're called bikr or bakr, right? And that means in camel years, they're 9 years of age. And what somebody has unfortunately done, yeah, because let's say you're saying something is bikr, the synonymous, like in symbolic language, or synonym of bikr is saying somebody's 9, means they've reached, fullness. We even use the term 9 now. I'm on cloud 9. I'm on the highest level type of vibe. So they've actually used the term bikr, exchanged the term bikr for the word 9, and now they've created 9, and now people are saying she was 9 years of age. It's like, cool, bro. You don't understand the intellectual capacity Kalam L has to do the whole breakdown. Hey, listen, I swear, I don't even know why somebody even came in today talking about they're going through their PhD. I'm thinking, why didn't I go and do my PhD and make bread from my education? God damn, I'm too smart for this thing, I'm too smart, way too smart. But anyways, I digress. Islam is a garbage religion. I didn't say that. You said it. Okay, cool. Wow, smarter than all. That is a big claim. I show your nature as impulsive. It is Mursal, not Mursal. It's more. It is Mursal, not Marsal. It's Mursal. It's Mursal, not Mar. I think you're trying to say Mursal, isn't it? So Mursal. What is Mursal? Is Mursal. But you're saying Mursal? I don't know. Anyways, I don't even care. Arabic is not my language, so I don't care. Or as you pronounce, man, Mursal. It's Mursal. My friend is Mursal. I don't think you understand me. It's Mursal. Are you Madud? It's Madud. It's Daif. It's a mess. Islam only worked when you had to read them Arabic books in the background to see hadiths. Hey, your problem is vowels. Yeah, no problem, man. She had dolls, Kalam. Don't try it. Hey, see, this is another thing, really, boy. If you translate that word for girls, right, you can translate that as, dolls. You can translate that as girls. She had little girls that she was playing with, maybe even her own children. She's even said to have a son called Abdullah. Ooh. See, this is stuff that people don't even read and don't know. But anyways, I don't even want to go back into that. Right? Because all of that stuff is just made up anyway. All of that stuff is made up. So I don't even want to. All some made up BS. Is it true Abdul Malik is the first in history to call himself Khalif of Allah? I think that is quite true. I think it's true. From the top of my head, I would say you are most probably right in that, because the original title was Amir al-Mu'minin, the commander of the faithful. And if you read the canon, right? You know that the terminology faithful is to describe the Christian believers, right? Anyways, that's a story for another day. Okay. Ibn Hajjaj, his vizier, referred to him as Muhammad and had a wife named Aisha, among other wives. I know that Abdul Malik had a brother called Muhammad, but Ibn Hajjaj calling Abdul Malik Muhammad, I don't think so. Unless you could provide that evidence, that'd be interesting. He had a wife named Aisha. Okay. Yeah, could be, but that doesn't mean nothing. I don't mean nothing. Peace and blessings to the chat and to the king Kalam. Cheers, anonymous Hebrew. What's good? Low facts. You are lost in the basic terminology. What about etymology and epistemology? Exegesis of your own. What about them? Okay, so Citadel Lord, I take it that you are a Muslim. You're a Muslim. What would your strongest argument be against Islam? My strongest argument against... Okay, so first of all, I just want to let you guys know, I'm speaking not accurate, but I'm speaking based upon my sentiment. I'll say what I'm saying, and then hopefully I'll try to explain myself later. I'm a firm believer in the Quran. Yeah? I'm a big boy believer in the Quran, just to let you lot know that from the get-go. Okay? I think the Quran is actually like, it is what's the word called again? In Christian literature, what do we say about that? It is spiritly, what's it called? Inspired. Every scripture is inspired by God or something. It's inspired by God. Like that scripture has been breathed. God has breathed on that. The God of the Bible has breathed on that particular original scripture of the Quran. Okay, let me put that out there first and foremost. Okay, so I would never go against the Quran like that. Now, coming away from my sentiment, let me put that in much more English terminology that is readable to me. Of course, I don't believe in none of that religious stuff there, yeah? Just to put out of the way. So therefore, what I'm saying is not completely accurate. But what I mean to say is, I think that the Quran's authors were inspired by the God of the Bible, and it is literature that belongs to late antiquity, especially Christian literature. That is what I'm going to say. And unfortunately, because we haven't placed it in its chronology and within inside of its geography, and we are allowing Muslim traditions to co-opt the narrative and invent narratives, we're reading it through their lens and not appreciating and realizing that this is actually a strong book that was given to a group of people to actually Christianize them. And I would say it's given by Abyssinians, the Abyssinian Empire to actually, it's propaganda that was created by the Abyssinian Empire to actually Christianize the non-Christians, to Christianize the non-Christians, to, do inter-religious dialogues with, other Christian groups that didn't have the right, in their eyes, the right theology and other concepts. And also, obviously, because, South Arabia and Arabian Peninsula was, also had Judaism in it as well. So it was also to, have that conversation with the Jews and to actually have an ecumenical bringing together to actually create a harmonious nation underneath the Abyssinians. But then, of course, later on, it just got taken over and nonsense was done with it. And then now, before where they were reading the Bible alongside the Quran, it's now, the Bible is corrupt and we only read the Quran. And we don't only just read the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet abrogates and overrides the Quran, and we create the hadiths that give you the Sunnah so you could understand the Quran. So it's like the mind fuckery that took place later on is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But if you're not trained in history, you lot will never see it, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry. Let me quickly go back and read, because I know I said some wild stuff. So let me go back and read the comment section, because I know you lot might be saying something crazy for that. So what would your strongest argument be against Islam? So, okay, so I laid the foundation that I wouldn't really go against the Quran, right? So what would be my strongest argument against Islam? So from a ecumenic standpoint, I'll say the foundation of Islam is belief. Although the teachings of the Quran is not to do with belief, it's actually to do with knowledge, to know Allah. But their concept of Islam is to believe in Allah. So, what would I argue against Muslims in Islam? Like, what would it be? Their foundation. Let's see, what would be their foundation? Their foundation is, technically speaking, Tawheed. Tawheed. I would technically go against their Tawheed. If you really wanted yeah, I'll start from Tawheed, then I'll go into the Shahadatain. So the Shahadatain is the Tawheed plus, Muhammad being the Prophet of Islam. So, it's not even a prophet, it's the apostle. So yeah, I think I'll break down the Tawheed first. Then I'll break down that he was an apostle. And then explain to them what an actual apostle is. Because apostle, when you understand it, it's a Christian term, right? It's just somebody that's been sent out by Jesus. Yeah, somebody sent out by Jesus. So I think I'll go there. I'll go with Tawheed, explain them to Tawheed that it's Tawheed. The whole word is the unification of or the oneness of God. To unify means that there is, anyways, let me not even go there. Then I'll go into the Rasul argument, because that's the Shahadatain, right? And then I'll explain to them that, if he really is an apostle, that therefore he would have had to been sent out either by a college of bishops. Then they will say, no, that never happened. Okay. Then I'll say, then he must have had a vision of the resurrected Christ, just like, Paul did, in order for him to be a Nabi for the Gentiles, for the Ummi, he would have had to have done that, right? Then I'll ask, did he have a vision? And who was the vision for and by? Then obviously, they're going to be too dumb to even know these answers to these questions. And then you will see that even inside of their scriptures, they're trying to, the Sirah writers and the Hadith writers are actually trying to convince you that he did actually have a vision by Jesus himself. But most of you guys, it will go over your head, so you won't even see that. But anyways, I digress too much. I digress too far. So yeah, my strongest argument against Islam would technically be against the Shahadatain, because that's their foundation. La ilaha illallah wa Muhammadan Rasulullah. I would focus on those two things and break those two things and kind of make them understand the words that they're saying, right? I always say, yeah, in order to become a Muslim, really and truly, you have to become an atheist in order to become a Muslim. And then that goes over their heads, because I'm like, okay, cool. When you say your Shahada, what do you say? La ilah, I say, stop right there. What did you just say? There is no God. Okay. What did you just do? You had to become an atheist in order to become a Muslim. You had to profess that there was no God, right? And then there's a process that took place in between that none of you have even done, right? That process, when you say accept, right? You've done a process to actually figure out, accept the God. So there's no God except the God. You had to come to the realization that there is the God, and it's a shahada. You know what shahada means? It's to bear witness. It's to see something. Clearly, none of you guys have seen God. So what does that mean? It's an intellectual journey. A shahada is, how did you utilize your intellectual senses, your intellectual capacity to witness? This is like Jehovah's Witness, right? How did you witness Allah? How did you witness God? Because none of you have. Because none of you know God. And your foundation is weak. Because unfortunately, the foundation is just like Kemet stuff, right? It's it's knowledge, right? That's how I know that this thing came from something that was solid. It came from something that was proper. But it got converted into belief rather than knowledge. Anyways, let me not even talk too much about those things. Let me just keep on going. You think too much. I know. I do. Unfortunately. Let me quickly, where did I miss out on? It's a mix of scripture and pagan Arab traditions with a little bit of Persian mythology. It's a mix of scripture. I agree with you. Pagan Arab. It talks about pagan Arabs, but I don't think it comes from pagan Arabism. I don't think so at all. Let's quickly go through. Do you think the Quran is correct on Isa being a BC figure, son of Miriam, who is daughter of Amram and sister of Aaron and Moses? No, I don't think the Quran should be understood that way. It's not a BC character. Jesus, Isa, is Jesus of the New Testament, 100%. You're just going to have to understand Christian literature of the 6th century. This is what I'm saying. Once you go to 6th century Christian literature, you would realize that, Mary being, the daughter of Aaron or Moses is part of that literature, right? How do we know? We can know that for several. You can even use the Bible to even know that. Okay, so even if you use the Bible and you say, okay, cool, let's go through. Supposedly Jesus was related to Elizabeth. Elizabeth was priest, I don't know, dwarf something. Then you see that her lineage has come from the Zadokites. The Zadokites are the children of the Levites under Aaron and so forth. So them making the claim that what's her name? Miriam. Miriam was the sister of blah blah blah. Once you understand Christian literature and how they were talking at the time, you'll realize, it just falls in line. It just falls in line with Christian literature. But for us today, because we are divorced from that culture and the history, and none of us, I assume, are reading Christian literature like homilies and chronicles, and there's so much other literature that you just have to read, like a lot of Syriac literature as well. You're gonna have to read, and you'll realize that, okay, cool, it makes sense. Like the Quran makes sense within inside of 6th century Christianity. Like read it. You're just gonna have to read like that type of literature, and you'll understand it fits directly in. This is why I'm not wowed by the Quran, because I'm like, okay, cool. It's just, this. You read the Hadith literature. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I've read that before. Oh, an angel came down, did it? Okay, I've read that before. I've read it before. That just happened 100 years before in Egypt, where an angel came down and gave somebody some laws on a tablet and blah blah blah. I've read it before. It's Christian literature. All of Islam, sorry, not all of Islam. All of the Quranic materials is Christian literature. Christian 6th century literature. Just know that. Let's go. Kalam, where are these samples, fire, jinns come from, etc.? Persian mythology. No, actually, you can find it within inside of Ethiopian stuff to do with Sheba, Queen of Sheba, and stuff like that, and Judaism as well. Yeah, Judaism and the whole Solomon Sheba stuff. You'll find it in there as well. That's another place. I'm not going to say that it might not be in Persian mythology, but I'm letting you know you can find it within inside of a biblical context as well. Let's see. Come turn apostate, tarated. Okay. You're saying Allah isn't the author of the Quran? No. Allah is like how? Like when people say this, right? I'm always like baffled. Do you really think? I don't know. Like, let's just say this imaginary figure, God came from the heavens with his fingers, and he picked up a pen and he started writing the Quran. No, human beings make this shit up, man. No, human beings are inspired by certain things. I can look at a flower, I can look at a rose, all right, and allow that rose to be my muse. I could look at it. I could smell the colors, the fragrance, the shape of the rose. Like I can ponder on these things. I can, formulate poetry based upon the rose, based upon love, based upon, the beauty of a rose, etc., 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 and write something very poetical about a rose. Okay. And deeper stuff about the rose, and I can make a story up about the thorns on it, and make that into a analogy for life and so forth. I don't know, some type of insect has to climb through the mud and climb up over obstacles and hurdles and heights that is absolutely unattainable. In order to reach your goal, you will be pricked by thorns on the way. But when you see the glimpse of the beauty of life, you will know that you have succumbed. The fragrance will overtake your heart, and you will be in a state of absolute zen and bliss. Now, all literature is created by a muse, by something that they've got. No, not all, but majority of great literature is created by something that's a muse, that it's your inspiration. So somebody could have read the Bible, understood the concept of God, and be inspired by that God concept in order to write revelation or write literature based upon that, and engage with different topics based upon what they know about God. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Like, this is just what happens. Okay. You're making me laugh. Where did I see that? Okay, cool. Allah is the moon. On your mosque. But true. Oh God. What I miss? Okay. No one on the panel, no? Nah, no one on the panel. This isn't that. There's nothing here for the panel. Was good though. I'm good. At the time, there was a lot of Christians and Jews in Arabia. He learned from them, then took his own version to the Arab pagans. No, it sounds like a good story, but I'll tell you what happened. Abraha, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, I want to Christianize these Arabs. Okay, there was a whole Christianization taking place literally at the same time. You had the northern Arabs, the Ghassanids, right? They were Christianizing the people over there. Then you have the southern Arabians that was Christianizing the people down low. And they said to themselves, listen, I want to, how can I put it? Make myself look like an indigenous king. And I'm only going to be writing in the Arabic language. Okay? Only in the Arabic language. And I'm going to get myself a religious figure who can preach and convert these people away from their paganism and away from their Judaism into Christianity. And I'm going to create a Christianity with my religious heads that is, how can I put it, appealing to everybody underneath my Arab empire. And they created a wonderful religion for those people. And they converted in droves. And he gave them hope. He gave them a mission. Actually, he didn't even need to convert them, because even the Quran tells you don't even need to convert. You can remain a Jew and you can remain a Christian, whatever the case is. Just, like, just be underneath my rule. So yeah, that's what was going on. That's really what was going on. And anybody that tells you anything different, tell them, come and speak to Kalam. Come and speak to Kalam, and he'll put you straight. Kalam, you made the claim that Surah Fil is based on a Lord's Prayer. On what and who? Yep, it is. That is the inspiration. You have to go and read Psalms. Read Psalms and you understand where it came from. But again, I think that one there might go over your head still. I'm still waiting for lessons on the jinn being black men. Jeez. Yeah, that's a good one, That's a good one. That's a good one. Will you say them Clippers ain't ready? Oh, chemo. Okay. Lord's Prayer. Actually, it's not Lord's Prayer though, is it? It's not the Lord's Prayer. Psalms. What are the smokeless fire jinns come from? Explain, Aki. Jeez, the smokeless fire jinns, God damn. Okay, cool. So you know that the angels are made out of light. I believe that's within inside of the biblical context as well, right? I'm pretty sure it is. Well, extra biblical context, because you don't find that in the Bible. You find that mainly in Judaic literature. And I guess it will transfer over to Christianity as well, right? And then you have the cherubim. So you have the seraphim, who would be those ones who would be made out of that. And then you've got the cherubim, which would be made out of smokeless fire, which is technically the sun. Technically it's the sun, because it's the garib, the closest ones. So you're talking about the fire from the sun, the smokeless fire, because the fire from the sun is releasing, what you would classify as a ball of fire in the sky, but there's no smoke coming from it. So that's technically where the smokeless fire does come from. Okay. But anyways, bro, you don't want me to go into this stuff, man, because that means I have to go back and read some books, and I'm not even, bro, who cares about this religious shit? sorry. Okay, cool. Let me read. Okay, how comes no other prophets seen them? You've got the cherubim and the seraphim, right? You got cherubim and seraphim. There's two types of angels. That's where it comes from. Okay. You can't establish your Hebraic claim outside curse narrative. Okay. Let's go through. I'm lying, Kalam doesn't lie. Kalam is too smart to tell lies. Jeez, I listen. Ezra's just throwing shots, at Muslims. That says the Book of Psalms is bigger than the Quran. God damn. It's all good in the comment section. Jeez. Oh my God, you lot are going at it with each other. Jeez. Okay, you're saying the jinns are the cherubims. I believe so. I believe so. That's really bad to say. I believe though. As far as I recall, right. It's all stemming from the whole, the fallen angels vibe, and then there are the two groups of angels. This is the Book of Enoch, and I'm pretty sure that the classification of angel. I'll have to go back and read. If you're saying that I'm incorrect, I'll have to go back and read because this stuff is coming from the Book of Enoch. Even the whole bowing down to Adam is actually, it's something coming from the Book of Enoch as well. I think it was bowing down to Enoch himself, but the angels, the devil, these angels refused to bow down to Enoch and stuff like that. So I'll have to go back. Literally have to go back, and it's all within inside of the Ethiopian version of the Book of Enoch. Them stories are in there, and it will have the different angel groups that came down on earth and so forth. So I'll have to go back and reread it. If you're saying I'm wrong. But I think also the jinn is also related to the garden, the gardeners. Jinn, Jannah, it's all part of the same, thing. So I believe so, because they were the caretakers of the garden is it the cherubim with the sword? I can't remember, man. It's like a long time ago, reading all this stuff. Titus TV does Abbas mean father? Yeah, in the Greek, Abbas means father. Abbas means father in Greek. Go and check it up. Let me actually Google it right now. Let's Google that. Abbas, Greek. Okay, Abbas. AI overview. If anybody types in ABBAS right now and Greek, this is what comes up, right? I can't show it to you, unfortunately, so take my word for it or simply Google whilst you're watching. The Greek word for Abbas is spelt with inside of the Greek letters. So the alpha, the beta, the small alpha, and the sigma. I believe it's a sigma. The term Abbas in Greek is derived from the Aramaic word Abba, which means father. In English, Abbas is commonly translated as abbot or superior of an abbey. Okay, there you go. That's what it means. Okay. So hold on. You asked me the question, does Abbas mean father? I gave you the breakdown. And now you're telling me, no, not that. I mean that the Arabic name. Oh, man. The Arabic name, not Greek, don't run. Bro, you can't win. Whatever you want to say. I realize I can't win with certain people, God damn. Kalam, does Abbas in Arabic mean father? I don't know what it means in Arabic. Let's Google it together. Abbas, Arabic. Arabia. It says here it means lion. It is popular masculine name with historical significance in Islamic literature, including the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. Abbas. The name Abbas is of Arabic origin and carries the meaning of lion or stern. I wonder. Let's see. I should actually put that into the dictionary, right? Elibis, Elibis, Elibis. I don't even know why I'm even trying to look for this. Elibis. Okay, so we go the A, the Ain, the Ba, and the Sa. Let's see what. Let's see. I don't even know why am I even doing this, but let's see. I'm curious to know for some reason now. Okay, cool. In the Arabic dictionary, Alif Basa. Okay, cool. We see here that it means look sternly, austerely, or morosely, or contracted his face. Okay, frowning, etc. Okay, cool. Let's see. The camels had dried urine and dung clinging upon their tails. Urine. Okay. Frowning, morose. Frowning and morose, basically. Yeah. So, oh, sorry. We've even got something that signify a man having a hateful face, hateful to encounter or meet, stern, austere, or morose in countenance. Signifies what it al-abas, no, al-abis, bis, al-abis, not abbas, but abis. What is it? It signifies the lion, as also al-abus, al-abus. Okay. Mentioned in K, blah, 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 of measure, blah, blah, blah. Or the lion from whom other lions flee. Okay, cool. Cool. I don't know why I haven't even looked into that, but yeah, there you go. Hopefully, is that the answer to your question? Is that the answer to your question, my friend? But yeah, I think it's time for me to get going. But you told me it does. I told you that. Remember who taught you that, big bro? Thanks, Titans TV. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyways, cool. I am tired. It's time to go home. What the hell? Oh, sugar. I'm working early hours in the morning and I'm here late at night talking to you guys. Hey, family tree. Peace and love. Yeah. I'm gonna catch you guys on another show. Hopefully I can do some more shows like this when I'm finished work with you guys and kind of catch up, talk with you guys on another one. Yeah. But anyways, sugar, now I need to close the show. All right. Peace and love. It's going to be on me for a little bit because I need to turn it off from the actual main thing. Hey,